This is the show giving you the best sales insights and ideas to become the best you can be in sales and sales leadership. My name is Gert Shouls. Welcome to Best Practice for Sales Professionals. And today I'm absolutely thrilled to meet an entrepreneur whose business, Gift Card Recruitment, is widely recognized as refreshing, outstanding and professional. Her clients include retailers like B&Q. The business is totally focused on the gift card incentives and loyalty sector. She's passionate about candidates presenting themselves in the best possible way during the recruitment process. Hadie Perkas, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Gert. Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure, Hadie. So my first question is around how you sell your services when you meet a new client. What is it that you do? How do you go about it?
Yeah, great. Okay, so I think to convince a hiring manager to buy my services, Gert, I have to make sure that I know my product really well so it sells itself. And the great thing is that predominantly my product is salespeople and a salesperson, and a salesperson can either make or break a company. So knowing exactly how they will bring revenue to the bottom line to the hiring company is critical. And to be credible, I do lots of research on the company before I pick up the phone or send a candidate profile. So I know that the match is good. So when I pick up the phone again, there is a relevant follow-up call, and that has the best chance of the company agreeing to work with me.
Interesting. So back to the candidates, right? So why should salespeople bother with selling themselves when they're on the job market?
Goodness, well, I think it's sort of part and parcel, really. If they don't, then they're not on the job market. That's how I feel about it. I was thinking about this the other day, and the word market is a selling platform, and it's a place where people trade goods and sell their services to be noticed. And this is no different for people looking for a job. So selling yourself starts on a CV to get an interview, and it continues through to an interview, to get the job, and all the way through your career to keep your job or to be hunted for another. That is a great career move. So selling yourself is constant, especially to move up the career ladder. And furthermore, at the moment especially, there are many candidates out there looking for the same role, and this means lots of applications and recruiters spending a lot of time qualifying CVs. And after a while, that process can become really tiring if all the CVs look the same. And, trust me, I've been through that. So you really need to stand out. And so selling yourself becomes one skill that candidates need to acquire really quickly, especially now, to cut through the noise before they even think about sort of going to interview and preparing for that, which is a whole other subject. So yeah, it's critical. If you're looking for a job, you need to sell yourself. That's simple as that.
Yeah, I completely agree. So tell me some of your experiences when you have been working with candidates selling themselves for a role.
Well, you'd be really surprised, Gert. So, salespeople are selling products and services all the time, and what they forget to do is sell themselves if they are looking for a job. That comes down to looking, at their CV and also in person, and you'd think that they would be good at selling themselves, but they're not, and they do get stuck, and they do find that a challenge. But there are ways of coaching and articulating their core selling skills. And I think CVs can often look quite bland and don't excite the reader. For a sales job, you need to make someone feel like that you can make a difference in their business and add to their bottom line and contribute to their revenue. And sometimes good candidates who can't present themselves well on paper or market themselves well can get really lost, which is such a shame. And in my own personal experience, just some statistics, I'd say 2 out of 10 CVs are worth pursuing based on their content for any role, which is quite low, which does sort of explain that people aren't necessarily focusing on that very first point of contact, which is their CV, and it's absolutely critical. So it's the experiences I've had with candidates when it comes to selling themselves varies, but the majority of people need coaching to articulate how good they are.
And that's a fascinating sort of statistic, that there's actually only a 20% chance that your CV makes it to next stage. So in terms of best practice, what does good look like? If I was a candidate and I'm in the market and I'm looking for a new role, what does good look like?
Okay, so again, I break it into two. I break it so the CV and then the interview, because if you don't have a good CV, you won't get an interview. It's quite simple. So for salespeople, the CV must include, especially in that very first page, if you're asking me what good looks like, a good CV will include revenue or gross profit contributions, client wins, brand names, contract values and growth and sales cycles. And results versus targets, that all has to be in that very first page of a CV. To me and to any other sort of hiring company that I've spoken to in the last 20 years, that is what good looks like. That's a good CV. That's a good start to a CV. It means that they'll turn over and they'll want to know more, and they'll get very much engaged with the candidate on paper. And in an interview, the use of examples is the only way to prove that you can do the job. As long as the examples are relevant and relevant to the question being asked, and short and to the point. And I think knowing who you are selling to. So like any good salesperson, research and preparation is definitely the best place to start. The candidate needs to match the company culture and the skills that they require, and showing that you know really well what they're aspiring to achieve as a business, what their company values are and what their USPs are, and then showing examples of how you can match those from your own personal attributes and skills. I've always thought that would be a sort of the ultimate wow moment for any candidate going for a job.
That's really interesting from a best practice perspective. So to finish off then, Hadie, if you could give job candidates 3 tips whilst they're out on market finding a new role, what would those tips be?
Okay, yes. So my first one would be going back to the CV again. So that very first page must have the financial successes all over it. So results against targets for each sales role in their history. I can't stress that enough. My second tip would probably be prepared for the interview. So listing down as many examples of sales successes and achievements as you can before you go to the interview. Not just the results, but also stress how you did it, what challenges you came up against, and then what the results were. Real life true examples prevent you from over and underselling yourself. And may I point out also that not all successes are monetary. So a hiring company or a manager will look for soft skills such as humility and adaptability, flexibility and leadership across any sales role. And I think my last tip, Gert, would be to make sure you've got a good personal brand and build that on social media, specifically LinkedIn. And I think that's one place where interested companies will go once your CV goes onto a yes or maybe pile, just to look at your, understand your own way of working on LinkedIn, how you market yourself, and also, from other social media platforms, what your personal life is like, and see whether you fit in with their culture.
Well, Hadie, those are 3 very useful tips. I know it's going to be busy on the job market soon. Thanks for coming on the show, and speak to you again soon.
Thanks for having me, Gert. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.